Blaise Pascal, the French mathematician, once wrote something that sounds like a condemnation of the modern world, even though he wrote it in the 1600s. He said, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Today, we are looking at a painting that illustrates the exact opposite of our current reality. In a world defined by the attention economy, where our eyes are sold to such advertisers and our dopamine receptors are fried by constant stimulation, this painting feels like a memory of a place we all have been evicted from. This is the philosopher in meditation.
Yes. Fascinating.
Painted in 1632, this is one of the most enigmatic works attributed to Rembrandt. The first thing that pulls you in is the architecture. It is impossible. Look at the scale. This cavernous stone chamber with its towering arches and that massive, spiraling staircase. This isn't a real house in Amsterdam. You couldn't even rent this room. This is a capriccio. It is a fantasy architecture. It represents a mental space, not a physical one. It is a portrait of the inside of a human mind. In the center, bathed in a pool of golden sunlight, sits the philosopher. Notice what he is doing, or rather, what he is not doing. There are books on the table and papers scattered about, but he isn't even reading. He isn't writing. He isn't working. His hands are clasped, His head is slightly bowed. He is simply existing. He is engaging in the act of pure thought. In our culture, we conflate thinking with producing. We think if we aren't typing or speaking or even scrolling on our phones, we aren't active. But Rembrandt argues that the most important work happens when the body is still.
That man's an imposter. That man
But,
is a...
but he isn't alone. And this is a detail most people miss because their eyes are so drawn to the window. In the shadows of the lower right corner, there is a woman. She is tending to a fire in an open hearth. She holds a poker stirring the coals. This creates a duality, a philosophical binary. The woman represents the active life, the vita activa. She is labor, she is warmth, she is the maintenance of the body. She tends to the earthly fire. The philosopher represents the contemplative life, the vita contemplativa. He isn't warmed by the fire, he is warmed by the sun, the celestial light. Rembrandt is showing us that these two things coexist. You need the fire to survive, but you need the sunlight to understand why you are surviving. The tragedy of the modern world is that we have become obsessed with the woman's task, the grinding, the working, the burning, and we have completely forgotten the man in the chair. We are all stoking fires in the dark, wondering why we feel so cold. To understand why this silence is so radical, we have to understand where it came from. Rembrandt lived in the middle of this chaos. He was a man who loved luxury, who bought expensive props, who eventually went bankrupt because he couldn't manage his own business. And yet, he paints this. He paints the antidote. He creates a sanctuary that turns its back on the noise of the harbor. The window doesn't look out onto a street or a market. It is a source of pure light, almost abstract. It suggests that the outside world doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the illumination you let in. Let's talk about the staircase. It is the dominant visual element of the painting. It looks like the inside of a shell or perhaps a strand of DNA long before we knew what DNA was. In philosophy and dream analysis, the spiral staircase is a potent symbol. It represents the ascent of the soul, but notice something disturbing about it. We can see the bottom, but we cannot see the top. It disappears into the darkness of the ceiling. This is the cost of wisdom. The philosopher, it sits at the base. He knows that to find the truth, he has to climb. But the climb is not a straight line, it's a spiral. You circle the same topics, the same traumas, the same questions, over and over again, each time seeing them from a slightly higher angle. And the destination? It's pretty unknown. Most of us look at the staircase and feel anxiety. We want an elevator. We want the top 10 tips for enlightenment or mindfulness or meditation or what. We want the summary, the short form video, the life hacks. We don't want to walk the spiral because walking the spiral takes so much time and it requires you to be alone with your own footsteps. Why are we so afraid of this room? If you were placed in this room today, no phone, no Wi-Fi, no books, no laptop or computer, just a chair or a window, and how long would you last before you felt that itch? Like 5 minutes, 30 seconds, 20 minutes, 5 seconds. We have demonized boredom. We treat a moment of unallocated time as a failure of productivity. If we were waiting for the bus, we listen to a podcast. If we are eating, we watch a show. We have filled every crack in the pavement of our lives with digital noise. Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst, said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. This painting is a confrontation. The philosopher is facing his soul. He is letting the dust motes settle. When you slow down, when you actually stop, the sediment of your life falls to the bottom and the water becomes a bit clear. And that clarity is terrifying because once the water is clear, you can see the monsters swimming at the bottom. We stay busy, we stay fast, so the water stays muddy. So we never have to look at what's down there. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote about the inner citadel. He believed that no matter what war was happening outside, no matter how chaotic the world became, you could always retreat into the fortress of your own mind. Rembrandt has painted the inner citadel. The walls are thick, the shadows are deep, the world cannot touch you here. We cannot all be 17th century scholars. We have jobs, we have bills, we have the fire to tend to, just like the old woman in the corner. But we must reclaim the right to do nothing, to stare out the window or a wall, not to see what is outside or what is on the wall, but to see what is inside. This painting invites us to turn off the notifications, to step off the treadmill, to realize that life is not a race to the top of the stairs, but a quiet afternoon spent understanding why the stairs are there in the first place. I want you to try something when this video ends. Don't click the next recommendation or check the comments or open a new tab. Just try to sit down and look at the wall, have a piece of paper or a pen, and just give yourself like a few minutes of silence, just write stuff down. The world will still be loud when you come back, but maybe, just maybe, you won't be. Hey guys, Marco here. Make sure to take my videos with a grain of salt. No, pardon me if I mispronounce some stuff or like I need more detail. But feel free to explore the topics regarding my videos and stuff. But don't forget, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you would like to support me.
Wow!